Functional specialization and integration. In this movie, I'm gonna explain you that once you have chosen a specific business process flow as a functional specialization, then it's very important to not only master that functional specialization, but you need to also know a number of functionalities that are interlinked with that functional specialization. In a ERP system like Oracle, this is what you call it as an integration. Say for instance, if you have mastered order management, or if you want to master order management or order to cash business process flow, then potentially you should learn in and out of order management or shipping or pricing modules. But that's not the thing that you need to learn, but you need to also learn integration of these order management module with a number of different modules. It could be procurement, it could be financials, it could be manufacturing, it could be install base, or it could be other modules. So what I've done out here in the next slide out here, although we have seen this slide, but I want to take the help of this slide to explain you the same factor. For instance, I've taken a specific example now here is procure to pay. If you want to learn procure to pay, then procure to pay not only involves from the procurement aspect of the business, it also involves the payment side. So as a procure to pay Oracle functional consultant, if you have a background in procurement, say if you have worked as a sourcing buyer or a logistics buyer or a purchasing buyer, so you know in and out of how the purchasing works, and you've chosen this procure to pay as your career path in Oracle applications, then while you're learning, you need to learn a number of additional modules, not only related to procurement but also related to say supplier management, or linked to order management, or linked to financials. Alright, so what I've done here is in the next slide, taking the same example, I have listed down that, or I've broadened the same example here. So as a part of procure to pay, as you could see, these are the modules that are involved as a part of procure to pay. Okay, say procure to pay life cycle, what does it involve? It involves procuring goods and services. So for procuring goods and services, you need to have a supplier. Okay, if you need to have a supplier means that so large organization do a proper analysis of the supplier before approving that supplier. So that's where supplier lifecycle management module comes into picture. So you need to learn how supplier gets onboarded, how suppliers get qualified and approved in a large organization. So this module deals all around with the supplier management. Then as a part of procurement, your requisitioners will or requesters will enter requisitions and send it to the buyers, and buyers will process those requisitions and turn it into a purchase order and communicate to the supplier. So now I have told you all this in one sentence, but actually it involves a number of modules. For instance, requisitioning side is actually dealt in a procurement module, and then converting those requisition into purchase order is dealt in purchasing side of Oracle e-business suite, and then communicating to the supplier and supplier collaboration is actually done as a part of iSupplier portal module, through which a supplier can actually access Oracle applications and can communicate and collaborate with the buying organization. And then I've listed there are a number of other modules like strategic sourcing. Say if you doesn't have a negotiated terms and conditions with the supplier, so this module helps you to define and communicate RFQs or auctions or any other type of negotiations to the supplier and finalize a contract. So when you talk about finalizing a contract, then it certainly involves terms and conditions. So defining terms and conditions, standardizing those terms and conditions, reusing those terms and conditions are actually done as a part of procurement contracts module. And if your contract involves contracting services from supplier, then Oracle has a separate license. It's not a module which you call it as a services procurement, which deals with services or complex services contracting with the suppliers. So having said that, you need to have a knowledge of complete procure to pay if you decide to specialize in procure to pay. But then you also need to have a knowledge of integration with other modules. So now that you have specialized procure to pay, in terms of integration, what you need to learn? You need to learn about the payment side. And as I've explained you, once a supplier has supplied goods and services, then what comes next? He will send you the invoice and you have to pay for the goods or services that he has provided. And that's what is defined and processed as a part of payables and payments module. Alright. And if you have purchased, say, you know, assets as a part of your purchasing process, then those assets can be routed to a separate module. It's called as fixed assets module, wherein further asset processing could be done. For instance, when you purchase assets as a part of a company process, what you do, you depreciate your assets from time to time. So you've got depreciation rules, and you recapitalize your assets, or maybe after the life of the asset gets over, then you write off those assets, right? So all that asset processing is done in fixed assets module. Similarly, if your purchasing is a part of a project, for instance, if your organization is taken up a project uh, like uh, like building uh, a an office, okay, say, or a big apartment, then what will it involve? It's like a project. It involves getting the raw materials, and it involves expense in relation to the contractors or the the building masons that you have employed for building that structure, and so on. So that's where the project comes into picture, that you define a project, and then you define a budget for that project, then you realize the revenue, uh, all the expenditures can be noted against the projects, and so on. So again, it's integrated to purchasing module. Similarly, other modules like subledger, accounting, general ledger actually takes care of the accounting part of all these transactions which I've just explained you. Then inventory is a module which is again a central module. That's where you go about defining your items. It could be goods or services, but you can define it in inventory module. So all around defining the items and your warehouses, and the roles around that, or serial controls or lot controls, or all everything around inventory warehousing is actually done as a part of the inventory module, again, which is very closely linked with purchasing, because the item that you define in inventory is what you use it on a purchase order. Likewise, you've got other integrations with pricing and order management. So the point that I'm trying to make out here is, while you are mastering, or while you have chosen a specific business process flow to make your career in Oracle applications, you not only have to learn about that modules linked to the business process flow, but also its integration to other modules, because that's what makes a complete learning of that business process flow. So in short, I've written, so the bottom line is not jack of all and master of none. It's on the contrary, it is jack of all and master of one. So in other words, you need to know all these modules, but you need to master the basic group of modules that forms the business process flow.